Hey everyone, thank you for joining us today. Lots of people coming in still, so we're going to give it a couple of minutes before we start. Hopefully you are looking for enhanced threat detection featuring the SaaS Alerts and Microsoft Defender for Endpoint integration. We're excited to talk to you all about it today. Let's see, let's start some chats here. Tell me where you're calling in from today. And if you're using Microsoft Defender for Endpoint today. Nice. Oh, San Diego. I'm going to live there one day. Oh, all over the place. Ooh, Cayman Islands. That's a
Cayman
nice
Islands.
one
There we
too.
go.
Yeah.
I'm going to live there
Right.
one day.
Yeah, for real. So we've got a handful of people who are yeses using Defender, a few that are not currently using it. So probably want to go through a little bit of education there on the front end, which I think that we had planned on. We'll give it one more minute or two just to get any stragglers in. Our participant number keeps growing. Hi, Corey.
So speaking of locations, I am actually sitting in the bedroom of like my childhood bedroom in my mom's house, which is like a really interesting place to deliver this webinar from. So that's a first.
I don't know, Adam. I think you need to take the blur off so we can see your model airplanes in the background. Or
I
You know
know.
what?
those or Star Wars models or
Un
posters of Farrah Fawcett. I don't know. Who knows what it's going to be?
Yeah, unlike some folks that when they move out, their parents like leave their bedroom set up, like mine was turned over like a hotel the second I was gone. Like it's been taken over. So there is, I don't know that there's actually, you know what? There are little league roster, like the team photos up on the wall still. I do see those.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Can you put that into one of your slides, Adam?
Yes.
I might build, I
Or
mean,
just like pan the camera around a little
yeah,
bit so we can see it.
I don't know. No, I'm gonna go with no.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining us today. We're going to get kicked off. You're here today, hopefully, to talk about enhanced threat detection with SaaS Alerts and Microsoft Defender for Endpoint. I'd like to introduce our speakers today. We've got Adam Steinhoff, who is our product manager for our MSP tools, and we've got Chip Buck, who is our CTO and co-founder. And also joining us, who did not make it onto the slide because he was a surprise add-on at the end, is Liron Barron. He is our Chief Product Officer here at SaaS Alerts. So with that, I will hand things over to Chip to get us kicked off.
Thanks, Amy. Really appreciate that. As Amy said, I'm Chip Buck, co-founder and CTO here at SaaS Alerts, joined by Adam and Liron. Adam in product, Liron's our VP of engineering. Actually, we've just
Oh,
changed that title, haven't we, Liron?
yes.
Chief
Chief
Product Officer.
Product Officer.
Yep.
I believe I have to call him sir now, unfortunately.
Officer here. There you go. There you go. So we start off all of our calls with a review of why we exist as a company. And this little tidbit is particularly close to my heart because it sort of tells our origin story. But when we built SaaS Alerts 5 years ago, or began building it, we did so because we realized there was a shift underway in security around the focus on devices versus the focus on user accounts. Both have always been important, but we believed, based upon some other businesses that we were running, that the account activity and a user-centric approach to cyber security was going to become more prominent and more prevalent. And our goal is to help MSPs win on that transition.
I'm getting there.
You're getting there. So by the numbers, so where we've come over the last 4 years, we just had a discussion about this morning on our internal company meeting. 4.5 years ago, we started, well, 3.5 years ago, we started off with 10 beta partners. Today, we're at over 1,100 MSP partners, monitoring over 3 million SaaS application accounts, most of them Microsoft 365, subset of Google and Salesforce and other things. and we are typically logging around 3 billion security events per year. That continues to go up, obviously, as our partner base grows and as our reach into the SMB community grows. Okay, our
All
favorite
kinds of
keywords.
yeah. I'm clicking them through.
It's fine. MFA and MRR. MFA, I think everybody understands why we focus on that within our product stack and our sort of little inside joke. We think that MFA has always been one of the keys to getting reluctant businesses to start improving their security. Still surprising how many companies push back on their MSPs who advise them to do that. But in our universe, that stands for Manage, Fortify, and App Wizard. These are three of our modules. Manage is the original module, the original product of SaaS Alerts that simply tracks and records and alerts on user account activity. Fortify is security posture management that allows you to set policies based upon recommendations from the Microsoft Secure Score. And App Wizard is a module that we've constructed that allows us to rapidly ingest data and connect to any SaaS application in the universe, provided it has a viable API. And that viable API piece, of course, is the key to the kingdom. We've discovered that there's lots of work to be done among the SaaS application community to make viable APIs, to create logging that is actually sensible and informative from a SaaS security perspective, but it's getting better and better. And then, of course, MRR, everybody's favorite, monthly recurring revenue, right? Corresponding to us for that managed product, our reports module, which was our second module, allowing you to demonstrate value to your customers, and Respond, which is our automated response module, which tracks compromised accounts, picks them up within minutes, and shuts them down before attackers can do damage.
And as Corey mentioned, Core Unify gets no billing on this slide, so it's there. It's just
It just doesn't fit into a clever little slide
It
with
doesn't,
a couple
yeah.
of initials that, Okay, integrations that we've built and integration partners that work with us. I think everyone on this call, if you're an MSP, are familiar with most of these logos. Our initial product stack included 365, Google Workspace, Salesforce, Dropbox, and Slack. We've reached, because of our partner feedback, pretty deeply into monitoring MSP tools for activity that goes on both inside the MSP itself with technicians and also how it relates to their management of customer environments. And we stretched out into the strict cloud monitoring with Amazon CloudTrail, and we'll be following that up with additional cloud monitoring in the future for things like Azure and Google Cloud Platform.
Don't forget about the identity platforms, Okta and Duo.
Yeah, they are there as well. But we're really here to talk today about the one in the bottom right corner, which is Microsoft Defender, and specifically Defender for Endpoint. And with that, Adam, I'll let you take it from here and take the team through the rest.
Great. All right, perfect. Thanks, Chip. I suspect you're on this webinar. I mean, most people join just because they love us, but you're probably either thinking about Microsoft Defender for endpoints or you're already running it. So I suspect that's why you're here. What is Defender? I hope everybody here knows at this point, but it is a comprehensive security platform that Microsoft has created. And it is, well, for the endpoint world, it is their endpoint solution. And each endpoint is integrated into their full stack, which is the Defender stack, which is built up of many different products or many different silos that all roll up into the Defender brand. This particular integration is really focused on the Defender for endpoint portion of that. And so, why? And so we've said it many, many times before that our goal is to be skating towards where the puck is going. And we feel that we're seeing a lot more action in the Defender space recently. And so we feel that, or we know that via our Unify module, that the correlation of the device data to the event data that we're receiving from the applications really is a very powerful tool in finding that needle in the haystack, or potentially turning the noise down so that we can more focus on the more important events in front of us. And with this move for the integration into our first real like endpoint beyond the RMM world, this is really going to allow us to further do the IOC correlation, so the indicators of compromise, both between the linkage of the physical and the SaaS world is going to help us with that. And our mission isn't changing. A lot of people, as I've talked and showed the alpha version of this and iterated through it, they're like, wait, I thought you were a SaaS company. Like, what's up with this endpoint stuff? And, I've just been kind of leaning back and going, we're really still a SaaS monitoring company. We are a threat-focused company, and we're going to go to where those threats are. And as long as it is accessible via an API, and we have the ability to manage it the same way that we do our other SaaS applications, we're going to continue to go to where those tools are and where the data is, so that we can help our partners find the breaches and the threat actors faster. And so, this is just the beginning. I would keep an eye out for future webinars and communication from us on other endpoint products that we're going to be leaning into in the future. So, what do we get today? And so, as far as our Defender integration goes, really, we're looking for that unified view of all of your alerting data and your event data inside of our product. So we're going to stitch in the alerts and the events that we're receiving from Defender directly in line with the existing alerts that you're receiving. So the same place that you're seeing SharePoint downloads or logins using the Microsoft Identity Provider, or an email forwarding rule get created, you're now going to see the alert activity that's happening that Microsoft is detecting inside Defender. The other thing that was kind of a surprise to me was in asking people, well, like, why would you want this particular product? Like, what above just getting alerts into the product is interesting? And what I found out was there's no real good way for Microsoft Defender for endpoint events that Microsoft generates today to get into your PSA. I mean, you can do the standard email thing, and then you're just getting tons of tickets. There's no merging of similar tickets or anything like that. So you end up having manual either entry into your PSA or a lot of pruning and manipulating on just alerts that flew in that were not sanitized or cleansed ahead of time. So we are going to bring PSA ticketing effectively to Defender with this integration. And then I think I mentioned that already, but we're going to consolidate all of those alerts into one central place. So with everything that SaaS Alerts does, or just about everything, we really lean on one of our core values, which is progress over perfection. And so, we're going to release the first version, which is what we do often. We're labeling this beta, but I want to kind of give you an idea of where we're headed. And so, one of my goals for this launch, or very soon after, is the ability to do respond rules utilizing Defender data. So, an example might be that, let's say a device shows that a credential harvesting attack like Mimikatz got on the endpoint. And then, within, let's say, 4 hours, we see 30 username and password attempts that are failures. And then we see a success, and then we see an MFA failure. That could be an indicator of compromise right there. Actually, with the Mimikatz tool, they may actually have the credentials. So we may not even need to see 30 independent, 30 failures. We might see the endpoint have the Mimikatz tool detected, and then the user associated to that device has a login from an unknown location and then an MFA failure. And at that point, we can take action and shut the account down, and maybe in the future even isolate the device. So we're learning and leaning into that respond engine to further bring the power of SaaS Alerts and Defender together. And then Fortify, Fortify is one of the fastest growing tools that we saw our partners take up on the Microsoft management side of the house. I don't know why we are not going to just pull Defender into the mix too. Let's let you actually configure your Defender across all of your tenants with the same power that Fortify brings on the Microsoft side of the world today. And then finally, reporting. It's great to know that all these alerts are coming in, but sometimes we want to do a report and go, okay, based on what we're seeing in the RMM and what they're saying the AV is and what Microsoft is saying Defender is running, are they running the right versions? Are we seeing the right data? We can pull from multiple locations and consolidate and go, hey, this is the AV that you're actually running, or maybe it's out of date on the definitions, and just one additional. Man, I'm not really reading them, but should I pause, Chip? Oh, you're muted, so let's see.
Sorry, Adam, you dropped on me, which may have been on my end.
Okay.
No, it
hopefully not.
wasn't. It was on Adam's end. We missed the last couple sentences.
Oh, okay. Well, I said the most amazing thing ever, and I'm sorry that
Oh.
you guys are going to miss
And
it,
you're
but I
never going to be able to
repeat
repeat it.
Never going to repeat it again. Did I miss the reporting side of the house?
I believe so, yes.
Yep.
And we've
So on the
got
reporting side,
a few questions in here that we want to make
okay,
sure we get to.
cool. So on just to wrap up on the reporting side, I don't know what you heard, what you didn't hear, but the goal is to really unify the data that's coming out of Defender, Intune eventually, the RMMs, and create a report that gives us a much better idea of what's going on as far as your threat protection on the endpoint goes. Let's make sure that the RMM agrees with Defender, the versions are right, that they've checked in recently, et cetera, et cetera. So as far as the questions go, do we have anything that I should stop on?
We do. We have 3 questions. Can you see them, or do you want me to read them to you?
I think I can probably maybe you could read them to me.
There's
Trying
2 in chat and there's 1 in
Okay.
Q&A. So the first one is from Rich. If Defender handles compromises on its own, what messages to SaaS are most meaningful, especially if Defender mitigates the issue?
Great question. Yeah. So I think I sort of answered that a little bit in the respond side of the house, but by all means, if Microsoft is set up correctly and it's blocking threats here and there and, all of that happens, that's great. You're protecting the endpoint. We're looking at more on the lines of the indicator of compromise and just one more breadcrumb, so to speak, that we can use to create a picture of an active threat or a potential threat. So for me, it's more just I'm always a fan of just more data equals better when it comes to this type of stuff. So this is more of a data play, and then using that to create indicators of compromise within respond, and then taking action. So, you might have in Defender, for instance, I've seen alerts come through related to kind of are similar to our outside approved location, but you might not block traffic related to a sign-in that doesn't look normal on the Microsoft space. But when you correlate it again with data that we have in SaaS alerts, we might be able to elevate that to an actual indicator of compromise with additional data points that we wouldn't just get with Microsoft. All right, and I do see the chat window now. So Linus, if possible, can you touch on having Defender run in parallel with other EDR solutions like SentinelOne and CrowdStrike? So, I'm not going to say I am the expert in running parallel EDRs. I know that it's pretty common in our industry that there's a few big players that we do see regularly. I would say you do you, boo. I'm not changing that really on that front. I would like to ingest the alerts from all of those different platforms eventually, though. But for today, just Defender, and we're not going to change any aspect of your running those solutions parallel today on a technical front, purely just collecting additional data from one of the products. Kevin asks, will managed SaaS alerts action Defender alerts? I'm gonna put that one in my back pocket unless you know the answer to that, Chip. Maybe Ben is gonna come in here and join in and throw us something in the chat, but I don't know the answer to that.
So the answer, Kevin, is that managed SaaS alerts is there to tune and create respond rules that are going to provide automated responses. We don't have that ability with Defender at this time. So the answer initially would be no. However, the managed team will make sure that the MSP is alerted to any critical level events that happen from any of the projects that are managed. So they'll do follow-up if necessary if the MSP doesn't acknowledge the tickets that are sent from the system.
Okay. I've got a question in the Q&A from Barry. I assume this is only for the licensed Defender, not the free one in Windows. So yes, the local version of Defender that comes with Windows is not what we are managing. This is the Defender for Endpoint licensed item that, depending on the matrix that you run with Microsoft, I've heard E3, I've heard Business Premium, something, I actually need a little more real world data to truly understand where the licensing lies as far as this goes. I do have honestly what ChatGPT spit out for licensing in RKB at this point, until someone tells me that that is not right. Andy, would this link Defender alerts to a SOC, e.g. Rocket Cyber? So I would suspect so. I have not seen that Rocket Cyber integration, but these alerts are going to come in just like every other alert inside of our platform and be handled the exact same way. So I'm going to go with probably yes. I'd be surprised if not.
I'll add a little color there, Adam, in the sense that unlike the products that we've integrated to, Rocket Cyber has actually done their own integration back into us. And we don't control that integration. So it's something that I would reach out and ask Rocket Cyber, hey, are you guys going to expand your integration to include events that come from Defender for Endpoint? They get the data. It's up to them whether or not they're presenting it to you through Rocket Cyber.
All right. So let's cut to the demo. This is the scary part for every product manager ever. We will see how it goes. First things first, this is a beta integration. One of the things that I have learned with this particular integration is that a few VMs on my side with some test viruses and things is not a great real world example of what we're going to see when this thing goes far and wide. So as a beta, when you connect it, my goal really is to see as much data as I can possibly see event-wise that's coming out of Defender so that I can get to work and classify these better and make the events more easy to read and plain English. So if you do connect it, expect that you're going to be hearing from me potentially as I start to classify some of these threats and see more data. So let's cut to the demo. I assume you can see my Chrome browser here logging in. Yes, Chip?
Yes, we can see, Adam.
All right, cool. All right, so a few things. Kind of laying the groundwork, security.microsoft.com. If you are familiar with Defender and you go to the alerts, this section here is what we are basically harvesting. And so right now, I have resolved all of the alerts. While I'm talking, I'm going to go ahead and kick off a threat. Now, sometimes things happen in 3 seconds. Sometimes they happen in 10 to 15 minutes with Microsoft. I never know. But just to kind of set the stage, and then I've got a alert in the background that I can run from. So I literally went to ChatGPT and I said, make me a PowerShell script that can run Mimikatz. And with a couple changes to the version numbers, because the version was different, I literally pasted this into PowerShell and I click run, and effectively it goes out, it downloads Mimikatz, throws it into an archive where it expands it, and then we start the process. And if you can see closely here, it's a little small, but this script contains a malicious content and has been blocked by the antivirus. So that's Microsoft stepping in and going, Mimikatz is not going to be the thing that you're running today. So I'm going to go ahead and refresh this. And we might see the alert here shortly. We may not. But again, I got one in my back pocket. So we will see. Waiting for the Wi-Fi to spin up. Yeah, we got the Netflix going, and it's probably it's actually like they're old, so it's probably like old people shows. It's not Netflix. It's like, I don't know, what do you old people watch, Chip?
Oh, that's a good one, Adam. Well, on Netflix, it started off with House of Cards, of course.
Oh, okay.
Was
I think
thoroughly
like Harry
disappointed.
Mason, isn't it? Like Harry Mason is what you
Yeah,
guys
that
use?
would be my parents, Adam.
Oh, okay, just checking. All right. So I've got my alerts here. I still haven't seen it from Microsoft, so we're gonna run with the I don't want to have you guys watch Microsoft do its thing. So we'll flip back over here real quick. So if you want to use this product, first things first, you need to email your account manager and request access to beta. When you request the access to the beta, the magic people in the background will like put that in there, and then you will now see a new icon when you go to new application. And if you have not connected our Microsoft Manage app already, this Defender is going to be grayed out. Not that it's not there, it's just you can't connect it. So one of the first things first is connect Manage first, and then connect Defender. And in order to connect Defender, we have to request a few more security roles that we did not have with our initial Manage integration. So you're going to see this long, long list here. This is basically adding to the adding to the permissions that we already had as part of Manage, and you're reconsenting to the additional ones that we need for Defender. So I'm going to go ahead and accept that, and I'm going to prove that I'm a human. Oh, cool. I didn't have to prove that I was a human. I thought I was going to prove I was a human. And it takes a while. So I've seen it take 30 to 60 seconds with Defender as we're spinning our thing up. And
In the meantime, Adam, we've got another question from Andy in the
cool.
Q&A.
All right, let's pop over there. Will we be able to leverage with our existing GDAP relationship with each tenant? Liron, thank you for joining today. I know that we talked a lot about permissions today. Do you know the answer right off the top of your head, or shall I take a pretty good guess at it?
You should take a guess at it, Adam.
Okay. All right. So we're going to use our global admin that you used to connect the Manage application. I would recommend using the same one to connect Defender. Now, I don't know that that is 100% necessary. That's what I've been doing. I think any global admin for that tenant should be able to do what we need. But if it were me, I'd use the same one. That sound about right? And I don't think GDAP, I think that's different than what we're using because we are global admin. We're not GDAP.
Correct.
But I am not your Microsoft specialist.
CSP accounts,
follow-up question
GDAP accounts cause data retrieval issues within Microsoft. They'll work and work and work. They'll be great right up until the moment they're not. And then all of a sudden you'll get data back. We'll get data back and then present it to you that is intended for one tenant and it is actually associated with a different tenant. This is an ongoing problem with Microsoft that lots of folks in our business that write and create enterprise applications have identified, and Microsoft still has not rectified. We know it's a pain in the neck, by the way, and you guys would much rather use a single GDAP or CSP account, but it simply causes problem.
And Andy asked me the question, will the global admin be entered only once? And that prompted me to look up my screen and saw that it was actually prompting me again. So it's not supposed to, but in this particular demo, because that's what happens on demos sometimes, we are entering it twice this time. And I'm going to let it connect. There we go. Application connected successfully. Thank you. That's so nice of you. All right. So once I'm connected, it's going to go do its thing the same way that our Manage goes and does its thing. And like I mentioned, I had a couple events in here anyway, just because it seemed like something I should do ahead of time. Defender. All right. So inside the report here, these are the first sort of events that we are going to see. So this one was 12:15, about an hour ago, me just running through my demo to make sure. But you'll see we've got the name of the org here. Product is Microsoft Defender. The user that was actually logged in to the device when the threat happened and who created the threat. And then a pretty good of information, and I'm going to zoom in here on what we're seeing. So, Microsoft Defender from the antivirus product source, as far as Microsoft is concerned. It's one of those columns of things I was saying that Defender, it's one of the sources. The alert is the Mimicapped credential theft tool. The categories and the credential access. Threat family is the Mimikatz threat. Here's the actual threat name. The severity, as far as Microsoft has classified it, is in high. When there is a MITRE inside the Microsoft alert, we will actually put the MITRE in there. We give you the incident number on the Microsoft side, as well as the URL that brings you directly to the alert on the Microsoft screen. And then, like everything else, we mark it as either low, medium, critical, and we will send it to the PSA if the PSA is connected. Some events from Microsoft in Defender come with an IP address. Some don't. Some come with users. Some don't. It really depends on the type of alert that we are seeing this come in on. That is a really good point, Andy. Can we get which endpoint this is happening on? So when Microsoft passes it to us as part of the alert, we will fill in the device here. And this is an example of I need to see more data for me to nail down the way that Microsoft reports this stuff to us. One of the things that's interesting, and this is kind of how the sausage is made, so to speak, when an alert happens at Microsoft, the alert fires first, and then it starts adding in what's called evidence. And so there might be file evidence, endpoint evidence, identity evidence, and those evidences will they will move around in different orders. So I'm playing a little bit of a whack-a-mole as I'm seeing more and more events happen. And as I do get more events and you guys connect them up for us, I will probably find out a little bit better on how that data moves around, and the devices will more often be put in. But in these particular ones, we missed it on these events.
Guys, that's Adam's way of saying, please join the beta. I need more.
Please. Interestingly enough, and you didn't ask this, Andy, but I know you like to go deep. I do see the Microsoft device Entra, sorry, the Microsoft Entra device ID often in these alerts as well. And when we do find them, actually, here's an example, we do actually put the Entra device ID in there. One of the next steps, and it wasn't on my future slide, was to integrate this into Unify. So right now our App Wizard apps are not Unify enabled, but I have a ticket in my backlog that will be worked here hopefully very soon. And then we will actually be tying all of that together with the Unify world. All right. What else do we hear? Once for all SaaS alerts, not for each module. I don't know what that was in response to, Andy. How will you identify device IP or name? So Microsoft identifies the device. We're just reporting what we see, Bob. So if it's in the alert and I grabbed it from the right spot, it'll be in there. And we will have both the IP and the name, if the IP and the name is, or I'll have one or the other, or I might have none. This just comes down to the Microsoft data that's provided to us. Thinking next steps, linking with Datto EDR. You're thinking right. So that is one of the ones that I am interested in integrating to, along with a few others, Andy. Mario, who do we need to contact for beta approval? You will reach out to your account manager. If you don't know who your account manager is, what's the best way to do that?
Email Connor, CONNYR @SaaSalerts.com, and she will connect you with your account manager if it's not her.
Yep. And definitely stay in touch with your account manager. You'll get all kinds of news and exciting stuff if you do that. Anthony Oren, can you clarify the licensing requirements? No. As we have tried with BP license and it did not work, only the E5 client did work. I understand which licenses are eligible. Okay, so Anthony, literally like an hour and a half ago, we actually resolved a bug in connecting the product. And you may not actually have you may not have experienced an issue with a licensing thing. You may have actually experienced something with the bug that we had connection-wise. I would recommend going back and trying to reconnect that one that did not work prior, in hopes that it was actually our connection bug and not a licensing issue. As far as the licensing requirements go, I don't know if you guys are aware, but Microsoft licensing is a little complicated, and I am not a Microsoft specialist. So unfortunately, I'd love to answer your question, but I would be making things up. So this will be more and more as we start identifying which partners have connected and which licenses we see, we might be able to make our documentation better. So sorry, I don't have a great answer on that one other than let's hope it was the bug we fixed. What is the log retention period for compliance, et cetera, on this? Well, Garrett, it's the same as all of our products, which is 1 year. So we do not change it based on the product. It's going to be there as long as the organization stays attached to us. All
Looks
right.
like your bug repair fixed. Enrique just gave us a big yes on business premium.
Woot, woot. Thanks, Enrique. Always in there getting stuff done for us. I appreciate it, letting us know how things go. I love partners that give me feedback. All right. So moving on, I mean, at this point, and I think, yes, so we have 2 different alerts that pop out of Defender at this point. And one of them is what we call a monitoring event, and the other one is monitoring info at this point. Monitoring event out of the box will come out as a critical alert, whereas a monitoring info will come out as low. And this is where in the beta, I might consider, if I were you all, to change the default for the monitoring event from critical to something else. Because as I mentioned earlier, I need to get my eyeballs on a lot of events before I really have this fully tuned. For instance, right now, the reason why this one came in as a low monitoring info is because Microsoft sent this over as an informational level. I actually just found out the other day that there is low as well. So I need to get low likely moved into our low and out of here. So there's some things that we're tweaking as we're seeing more and more data pop through. So in the event that you do want to go ahead and take my recommendation right now for tuning this down a little bit as we learn more, you'll go into settings, you'll head over to the customize alerts section. And then if you actually just pull down this sheet and you go to, or this selector, and you go to Microsoft Defender, you'll see the 2. And by default, it comes as critical, and yours will look like this. During the beta, I personally would recommend you go to low. You're welcome to keep it as critical if this is going to be your sole source of finding alerts, but it might be a little more noisier on your ticketing system than you would like at this point. So I would go ahead and hit the low. I think that's really it on the demo and the settings and how to connect it. I will pop back over here to our slideshow. All right. Let's actually, were there any more questions? I didn't do that there.
Nothing so far in the chat or the Q&A, but we can open it now if there are any lingering questions. Now's the time.
Adam, can you talk about our process for creating new events?
Oh yeah, sure. So because we used App Wizard for this particular product connection, it means that we have kind of 2 buckets of data. We have raw events and then we have processed events. And so every bit of data under the sun that we get goes into the raw event section. And someone like me on our team will harvest events out of that raw data and go, oh, that's a new one. I haven't seen that yet. Or, huh, that's interesting. Let me make sure that this field is in there. Or maybe a partner comes to me and goes, hey, we had this happen in our environment and we didn't see an alert. And then I'll go in and I'll farm that raw data and I will create an event out of it. And so that can take anywhere from, depending on how fast we want to go, an hour to like a week. But realistically, my goal over the next month or so is really just to continually watch that raw data that's coming in, farm it for new event types, a data that we may not have, and then process them into the things that you see on your side of the house. And so in the event that there's something missing or something that you think needs to be changed, probably support would be a good place to hit. And that way it is a managed ticket where everybody knows what's going on. In the event that you're one of those alpha partners that was working with me directly, then you can still email me. But I think globally, sending an email to support and or copying your account manager might help as well. Is that what you're hoping for, Leon? Cool. Awesome. I did see Enrique said, wah, wah, wah. He thought we connected. We didn't connect. So we'll be
No,
talking
there's a
to you.
further update
Oh,
from that.
further down. Oh, oh, silly users messing things up. Can't trust them. Can't trust them, Chip.
There's
All
a
right.
question here in the chat, but not in the chat, and Q&A
The
from Rob.
Q&A. Okay, I see that. Rob, is this Defender integration expected to include additional cost when the beta concludes? The beauty of my position, Rob, is that I have no idea, and that's not my responsibility. Chip, you want to take a stab at this one, or
Yeah, it's a pretty easy stab. The answer, Rob, is no. It's always been our policy to offer existing partners our new functionality as we bring it on, and that policy remains the same.
great, cool. All right, so we've cleared the queue on the questions. I've given you all the things. Next up, how to get started. So I mentioned it earlier. Contact your account manager, ask to join the beta. When you get the thumbs up, which is usually a support ticket back or a reply from your account manager, just go into the organization screen, hit add new application, and as long as you have had manage connected already, then you can go ahead and add Defender. If you are not a SaaS Alerts partner already, well, first off, pretty please, you should be. Second, head over to our free trial link there that you see on the screen. And I'm sure somebody would love to hook you up with a trial, a demo, a phone call, all of those things. Thank you. Look at that. I feel like the presentation just thanked me, but you're welcome, presentation. What else we got, Amy?
Rich raised his hand, but because we're in a webinar format, I can't call on him. Rich, do you want to type a question in the chat or in Q&A? And then
Maybe it was
Bob
like a high
asked,
five. He was like giving me a virtual high five, Amy. Maybe it wasn't like a hand raise.
maybe I've done that by mistake before. Oh, here we go. Are Intune flows received to SaaS Alerts?
I don't know what Intune flows are, but please don't judge SaaS Alerts on that. I'm not the Microsoft specialist.
Yeah, the answer to that right now is no, Adam. Intune is one of the pieces in the back of your roadmap to bring into Unify.
Oh yeah, Intune is definitely on my roadmap. I just wasn't familiar with flows. So yes, Intune is heavy on my list. I'd love to get that done next, frankly, but I've got a couple things on my plate, but we will be doing Intune with Unify soon. And I think once we tie all of this together, you guys are going to start seeing some pretty cool correlation stuff coming from all of these products.
And
So
then one more
Bob
from
asked the
Bob.
question
Oh,
there, Amy, I
sorry.
think
Yep.
about can they do SaaS managed and the beta at the same time? That's an interesting question, Bob. We haven't really considered that one way or another. We're still in the process of onboarding those partners who and brand new partners who are coming in looking for managed SaaS alerts. I think that's something we can accommodate, but it's likely to be another month or so before we're going to start introducing our beta projects into the managed group.
Great. You're welcome, Bob.
Thank you, Andy, for your comments. And I think that wraps us up.
Rich lowered his high five, he says. So bummer.
All right, everyone. I can't thank you enough for joining us. I know y'all are super busy, but we're excited to share this with you. We will be sending out the recording if you missed any pieces of it, have anybody you want to share it with, etc. So contact your account manager if you have any additional questions.
Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ron.
See
Thanks,
y'all
Amy.
later.
Thanks,
Bye,
guys.
everyone.
See you
Bye,
later.
everyone.
Bye.